So, number one common myth is, okay, that you need to spend your life on social media to have a great business. That is not true at all. Yes, there are hypnobirthing teachers out there that are doing well on the back of social media. However, they are probably not spending their life on social media to do so. They just really understand who they're talking to, and they create content that really catches those people's attention. It's not more time I spend on there, the more clients I'll get. It's more about using your time effectively to really speak to the people that are going to want your services. Not getting distracted by the fact that there are other potential hypnobirthing teachers following you, other birth educators following you, and feeling like you're actually speaking to them, okay? Myth is that you have to spend all your life on social media. You don't. There are some hypnobirthing teachers that hardly ever or never use social media, okay? Interestingly, I was, like I said earlier, I was at this thing in London last week, and there was 4 other business owners there. It was like a masterminding day. And they're in a different industry to us. They're business coaches, okay? And it was really interesting how they marketed their business. There were 2 people in that room that are not even on social media, yet they have got clients. There was another one of them that is on social media but doesn't bother with Instagram. And do you know what it made me think about? Was how, like, in certain industries, we see what the big shots are doing and we think that's how everybody must do it, you know? So we look on, you know, social media and we're like, they're doing really well and they're on social media a lot. That means that that's how I have to do it, okay? And if we look at other industries, often, you know, they're doing it in a really different way. What does this tell us as hypnobirthing teachers or people thinking about becoming hypnobirthing teachers? Well, it tells us there are many, many different ways to promote your business. Social media is one of them, okay? A big shout out to my lovely friend Sam Bevington. You know, she's running a free challenge this week, okay? You might have seen her post in the group. And her challenge is about getting seen on Google, because that's where people are searching for services like hypnobirthing. So whilst you may think, oh my God, the more time I spend on social media, the more clients I'll get. If I become a hypnobirthing teacher, I'm going to have to be on Instagram all the time. You don't. You really, really don't. There are many, many ways of getting clients, okay? And social media is just one of them, okay? So I hope I've busted that myth for you there, okay? Number 2 myth is that the more previous experience that's relevant that you have, the more success you will have as a hypnobirthing teacher. So I definitely believed this in the early days of my business, and I would think things like, oh my God, if I was a midwife, I wouldn't, you know, ever doubt myself, you know? I'd be getting more clients if I had a degree in midwifery. If I was a hypnotherapist, I would be finding this a lot easier and I'd be getting more clients. Do you know what I've learned from supporting other people in businesses and seeing so many people in this industry? That no matter what your previous experience is, okay, it's less about that and more about how you put yourself across. Yes, there will be people who train to be hypnobirthing teachers that are midwives or are hypnotherapists. And of course, it's absolutely fine that they own their, skills that they've gained from that and talk about it in their marketing. But that doesn't mean that you are at an advantage if you don't have those things. I can tell you right now, I had a really successful hypnobirthing business. My only relevant qualification was my hypnobirthing training that I'd done. That's all I had that was relevant. It never held me back, I would probably say that I was in my area getting the most clients out of anybody else, and there were many people in my area that you could put in that category of having much more previous experience than me. Okay. So if you're already a hypnobirthing teacher and you think, oh gosh, maybe I should do another qualification, not because I'm going to use the qualification, but because, it'll make me sound more credible. Actually, you already have what it takes. You've already trained. You've already got those skills. It's just owning it, It's just owning it. And you know what? I've supported many people in the past that on paper have all the previous experience. They still have the same hang-ups as me and you, okay? So please never think that you are going to be at a disadvantage because you haven't got years and years of experience in supporting expectant parents, okay? The thing that will hold you back is you believing that that's the thing that makes you not credible, that makes you not as likely to be successful. It's the belief. It's not actually that that's a thing. Okay. So that's myth number 2 busted. Myth number 3 is, and this is one that I'm highly passionate about, that you need to be a certain kind of stereotype, that maybe you need to look a certain way. You need to be a certain type of person to have a successful hypnobirthing teacher, have a successful hypnobirthing business. If I go back 10 years when, pondering whether I could become a hypnobirthing teacher was just like, a little twinkle in my eye, at the time, the only hypnobirthing teachers I saw on social media or online were people that were a bit alternative, that perhaps did hypnobirthing and things that, maybe some people would class as more alternative things, like, they did hypnobirthing and they did Reiki, for example, okay? That their websites very much leaned into lotus flowers and, all that kind of stuff. And I looked at myself and I was like, I'm just a regular person that, likes watching trash TV and isn't crunchy and all that kind of stuff. Am I going to be able to make it because of that? And these days, the stereotype has changed a bit. Of course, there's still this, this association with, if you're a hypnobirthing teacher, you live in the woods and you're a bit alternative. But there's also this stereotype that you have to be really activist and perhaps you're a bit grungy. And I once saw this post that triggered the hell out of me, actually. And it said, you're not a hypnobirthing teacher. It was like a joke. If you don't own a pair of dungarees. It was a joke, of course, it was just that, we often see that kind of stereotype on social media. And I was like, I've never bloody owned a pair of dungarees. I don't even think my mum put me in them when I was a kid. And that's not to say that I think that dungarees are horrible. They're just not my vibe. And why am I telling you this? Well, because we can think that, oh my gosh, it's those kind of people that make a success of this. Zero truth in that, And in actual fact, I think the fact that I wasn't grungy, that I was just appeared, I'm not really, just a regular person, but, for a lot of people, they just thought, oh, Abby's just like us. They gelled with me as their hypnobirthing teacher. It didn't seem like I was, on a different page to them. So I attracted the clients that got me. Just like the hypnobirthing teachers that are a bit alternative, or the hypnobirthing teachers that are a bit grungy will attract those people, okay? So if you are thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not like some of the hypnobirthing teachers that I see online, I'm not as bold in how I say things, I'm not no BS, I'm softer, I'm more gentle and nurturing, okay? Actually, my goodness, that will be your superpower. Just like, that grunginess will be their superpower, We need hypnobirthing teachers that are all different, because there are lots of different families out there that are naturally going to be attracted to different people. So if you don't think you look or your personality is like some of the hypnobirthing teachers you see online, do not let that be your sign that, you're not going to have success in this industry. Let that be the thing that you totally own, okay, and be your secret sauce, okay. Sam says, I still say at the beginning of my tasters, did you think you'd be turning up in a tie-dye dress? Yes, absolutely. That's often what they think, isn't it? And it's usually the birth partners that nod and laugh. Yeah, and then the reassurance that you're not this stereotype that they thought is what puts them at ease. So, yeah, I love that example, Sam. I mentioned you earlier, actually. I mentioned you, Sam, when I was talking about the myth that you have to be on social media all the time, and how Google can be your friend, and your wonderful challenge that you're running this week. So I'm glad you joined the live. So, yes, do not let the fact that you feel different from what you perceive the stereotype of a hypnobirthing teacher to stop you training or to stop you putting yourself out there, okay? Let that be your superpower, Really do. And don't try and change yourself. Don't try and be the stereotype. Be you, and that will be your magic. 100%, okay? So, myth number four, okay, is when people think that the only way to earn from being a hypnobirthing teacher is actually being there in person, The only way of bringing in good money is to go out to people's houses and teach one-to-one, okay? That you can't earn passive income from being a hypnobirthing teacher. What do I mean by passive income? Well, I'm talking about earning money when actually you've done the work before, okay? So earning passive income might be from selling a download. You made the download ages ago and you're still selling it 2 years later. So someone's giving you some money for it and they're using that thing. You're getting the money, but you're not actually doing the physical work in that moment, okay? And you know what I'm going to say to you, because I'm busting myths this morning. Of course, you can earn passive income as a hypnobirthing teacher. I'm sure you have seen many businesses offering online digital courses. That's one way. But my goodness, you don't have to do that. There's so many other ways that you could earn passive income as a hypnobirthing teacher if you allowed yourself to try. So it could be creating digital downloads, You create something, maybe it's a guide, maybe it's a checklist, and you actually sell it. Don't give it as a freebie, you actually sell it. That's one way. You could create some kind of short course. It could be something that, you know, they could use alongside hypnobirthing. So it doesn't have to be a replacement from your wonderful in-person courses. So for example, it could be a mini course on preparing for the postpartum. It could be a pregnancy relaxation course, okay? Or it could be audio tracks. There's so many possibilities. So please never think that becoming a hypnobirthing teacher limits you to only running your business in a certain way. If I think about my years in business, I have had passive streams of income. One of my main passive streams of income was a few years ago when I started selling the resources that I'd built up in my hypnobirthing business to other hypnobirthing teachers. This was long before I became a trainer, but that's what I did. I realised that what I had here was really unique. I'd put such a lot of time and energy into it. People were struggling and didn't have access to this kind of stuff. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll start selling access to it. And I'd done the work already, you know? So it was a passive stream of income. And my goodness, it came at a wonderful time in my life because it was when I was about to have my fourth baby. So I was going to be taking some time away from teaching hypnobirthing. Okay. So you might already have something that you know you could develop or already have got that you could offer as a passive stream of income. Okay. So I hope that was useful. My 4 myths about running a successful hypnobirthing business busted. Let me know, okay, which of those 4 really struck a chord with you. Let me know which of those 4 really struck a chord and you needed to hear it today. And maybe it's giving you a bit of inspiration, or maybe it's made you think, oh my God, I'm going to stop repeating that to myself. The one that I talked about earlier when I talked about the more previous experience you have, the more success. It's funny because yesterday on my Instagram, I talked about how some hypnobirthing teachers can become course collectors where they do loads and loads of different courses all the time. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for becoming great at your art, at your craft. But it can also come from a place of feeling like you are not enough. And if you gain more experience, you're suddenly going to be, you know. I can tell you right now, I didn't have any extra qualifications. Okay, but I built a really strong hypnobirthing business because I owned what I had, you know, and I absorbed everything about teaching hypnobirthing. I didn't feel like I needed to go off and do, you know, a course in biomechanics to complicate my current course. You know, I didn't feel like I needed to train as a hypnotherapist. I have since, because that's added to my training. Okay, my training that I deliver to hypnobirthing teachers. I didn't when I was a hypnobirthing teacher. I had what I needed. Own what you have. Julia says the passive income thing, a great tip. You are so welcome. I'm glad that was useful.